Hey everyone, welcome to my tutorial on GPU pass-through. I thought I'd just do a little guide and show you all how to do it. So, this is going to be a lot easier than other guides because I made a program that interfaces with vfio, and it is called GPU Passthrough Manager. So before I get into that, let me break down what I have in my system. So right now I have two GPUs. I have a 1600 XT and a 3080 Ti. The 1600 XT in my host system, and then the 3080 Ti on my VM. So the way I can do that is I can do, some scripting and know how to do it and everything else, or I can just go onto GitHub, and right here I have my GitHub with GPU Passthrough Manager. So all you have to do to install it is just clone the repository like you see here, move into it, and then run sh./build.sh. And then once that's done running, all you have to do is just run GPUPM, which is the binary executable. And also, if you don't want to do that and you're on Arch Linux, I also put it right on the AUR. So all I have to do is do, for me, I have yay, so I'm going to do yay-s GPU Passthrough Manager. So it'll come up and everything else, but I'm going to cancel that because I already have it. So what's going to do is you're going to run the program, or oh, that's my bad. And that's also my bad. You also have to run it as root, or because it needs root privileges to run your system. So what you'll do is you have to remake your bootloader. So it's going to add, IOMMU. It's going to add the vfio modules to your bootloader. And once this is a quick process, it'll take maybe 4 to 5 minutes. Do not exit out of this or anything. It's running in the background. The terminal will show all the progress in the background. So you're just going to let this run, and I'll be right back when it's done. Alright, so now it's done. So now you have to reboot your system, to load IOMMU and the vfio modules. So what you'll do is you'll reboot your system, and then you'll boot into it, and then you'll open the program again. So I'll be right back with the system rebooted. Alright guys, now that I'm back, now we can get to the fun part, where we pass through the GPUs. So what we're going to do is we're going to load drivers onto these graphics cards, or graphics card, depending on how many you have in your system. So I can either get it off my applications menu here, I can open GPU Passthrough Manager, or I can go back to the repository and do it the way I did earlier. But we're going to do the easy way and just go get GPU Passthrough Manager. So in this application, you have to pass through the graphics card itself and the audio controller with it. You would probably want to pass through any other audio controllers or anything else. So just pass through what graphics device you want to do. And to load default drivers, we'll load default drivers on all the devices that are listed. So your whole system. And which would mean Linux drivers for the NVIDIA card, or if there's no drivers installed, then just none. AMD, the same thing. And then load vfio is going to load the vfio drivers, which are they're kind of like null drivers. They make the card do nothing. They don't make it actually output anything. So you can pass it to the virtual machines. So if I press load vfio, then it's going to start rebuilding my system. Now this is going to run again, and this is not that long. It'll be done in just a second. This also works on Optimus laptops. So if you have a laptop with an external GPU or internal or literally any GPU, it will work. Now you have to get another display to get it to display anything. but the only problem is with laptops, you don't have another display. So you can always use Looking Glass, and you can look up tutorials for that. And you can just like make a dummy like display, and you can get it to the laptop screen, so you can still run Windows VMs within Linux. But all you have to do now is reboot your system, and then your graphics device will be passed through. And I'll see you back when it's rebooted. Alright everyone, now that we're back into Linux, now we can get to the fun part. Here's the part where we get to pass through the GPUs to the VMs, because it's all set up and it's all ready. So now all you have to do is go into Virt-Manager, and you can set this up on any Linux distribution. You just have to look it up based on if you're on Arch or Debian or whatever distro you're using. And all you have to do is, boot off an ISO. Now, I'm booting off of a USB drive, so I don't have to choose my ISO here, but you want to get these Virt.io drivers. I'll leave a link in the description for them and all the material in this guide, and tell it it's a Windows 10 VM. You can also do Linux VMs. It doesn't matter. Any virtual machine. Now, you can make a disk, and if you don't have to also make a disk if you don't want to, because you can always pass through disks. Like in my system, I pass through a NVMe SSD for Windows as my boot drive, so I don't have to have it in a virtual, so I get raw performance out of it. You can do this with also SATA controllers and other things. It works out very great if you actually have one. And you want to select Customize Configuration for Install and enable your default network, or you can also pass through NICs. You can pass those through, so I don't care about this default network. I want to put that on my actual raw network. So I'm going to pass through this gigabit or 2.5 gigabit Ethernet controller, which is my Ethernet port on my system. I'm going to pass through my 3080 Ti GPU, because I have the vfio drivers and it won't air out. And also I'm going to pass through my audio. So now I have all those passed through, I can finally start my virtual machine. But first, since I'm booting off this USB drive, I have to tell it that it's there in my boot options, and tell my USB drive, or tell the system my USB drive is the one you want to boot off of. So I'm going to press begin. And now this is on my 3080 Ti. So if you look here at 3080 Ti is on here, and it's not dead or anything. So once I get the system up, I'll be back. Alright everyone, so now that I'm back and I'm done set up Windows, I have my NVIDIA drivers. So I've installed my NVIDIA drivers. If I go into Device Manager here, I gave my VM some more cores, but I have my 3080 Ti. So to access this, you would want to plug your HDMI or DisplayPort or just a display out to it, so you can actually get it. You can also use Looking Glass and do it from not doing that, but that's completely up to you. And every single time you see a device that has an error on their drivers, all you have to do is, with that ISO of like that Virt ISO, you want to select that and then just click next and let it find the driver. But in this case, this doesn't need it. That's just going to error out, but we don't need to worry about that. So, for example, if I, for some reason, don't want to use my NVIDIA card on my VM anymore, because let's say NVIDIA drivers get good one day, and I hope that happens, but it's probably not in the near future, I could just pass through my 6800 through the VM instead, and just choose all the PCI devices or IDs for it. So, in conclusion, this program makes it so much easier just to pass through devices to virtual machines. I'm very happy with it, and I really hope this helps you out. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I have all the links to everything I've mentioned in the description, and just let me know in the comments what you want to see next.